Welcome to the EBFC Show, the easier, better for construction podcast. I'm your host, Felipe, Engineer Manriquez. This show is all about the business of construction.
Yeah! And other industries today, too.
Diversity.
That's right. What's up? We've got Katie in the house and Jake Harrell. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this live stream. This is the SAPD versus the PDCA, or the PDCA, PDSA versus the SAPD. This is the acronym city time.
Try that 3 times. SAPD, PDCA, SAPD.
Yeah, let me get my cheat sheet up so I can see it. This is what it's going to be. And we're going to hear in due time from Katie Anderson. I think we're going to let Katie open up first, and then we're going to go to Jake. He's got to recover from this punch that he got today on LinkedIn. My name is Felipe Engineer. I will be your referee. This is the Changemakers live stream. And we want to know, are you stuck in the plan do cycle of change? Your experience matters. Katie and Jake are going to help us. And we'll get into let's do an introduction, Katie and Jake, while we have you here. Right?
Fantastic. Yeah. Am I going first, or is lovely
You're
Jake?
going first.
We're going first. All right.
First.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Anderson. I am coming to you live from the San Francisco Bay Area, although I've lived in 7 countries outside of the United States. And one of those countries has been Japan, where I have learned from the origins of the PDCA, now the SAPD cycle, from Toyota leader Isao Yoshino, on a lifetime of continuous learning. I was actually just talking to Mr. Yoshino, talking about how excited we are for our book to be published in Japanese. And I'm here to share the lessons of wisdom of me over 25 years of applying learning and continuous improvement in organizations, and from learning about the origins of the Toyota way and the PDCA SAPD cycle.
Very cool. Jake,
Not a mouthful. Not a mouthful.
No, I was, I also we had no coffee at our house this morning. And so I drank some tea this afternoon. So I'm feeling that caffeine just kick in now.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I'm Jake Harrell. I am the funniest lean guy. I spend my life all day trying to make lean relatable to every human being that comes onto this earth, whether it be through a meme or a funny thought or a little bit about myself that ends up in the world. Self-crowned the funniest lean guy, if anybody wants to argue that.
If you try to argue with Jake, you'll be wrong. So don't
The
argue.
whole show trying to argue with me. This is what we're doing here tonight, right?
This is this show.
I am team PDCA because I am #simple. Lifetime in Dallas, Texas. Grew up on a farm. Okay, I know all about cows and hay. Don't know a whole lot about the rest of the world, but I'll tell you that simple is what gets did. And we already have a solid, well-known foundation called PDCA. So why don't we just stick to her and just get stuff did? Boom. That is my intro.
All right. Well, you started already with your with some right there, so peppering the conversation.
Yeah.
Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's just going to be
right. So it's okay. I'm not worried.
I'm going to try to keep them from getting too much did, as Jake said in Texas. But we're going to give each one a chance to go. We're going to open up with some rules. We've dropped in the chat. We've PDCA'd SAPD'd from last time. We've given everybody access to today's wow, that's a mouthful. Here we go.
Today's the date.
Today's debate mural is live, and we've got some people already in the mural. So I'm going to just confetti you all in. We'll put that in the stream for now. Right now, before we get in here, the whole reason we're together is not only is this part of the EBFC show live stream podcast extravaganza, as part of our commitment and mission to helping people learn and practice continuous improvement in their work, no matter what industry you're in. We're going to explore CI, or continuous improvement, today. There'll be a lot of tongue twisters. We'll do debate style because Katie and Jake are just so ready. Background. Yeah, all 3 of us have written books. I don't have mine here, but you all know what book I wrote. We want to hear from you in the comments right now. First name and industry. And then we want to hear are you on team PDCA or team SAPD? Then we'll go into the debate rules. So let's go and hear from the audience. We're going to start.
I don't see the LinkedIn comments on my end. I don't know if that's just a my end deal.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any. I've got LinkedIn. LinkedIn is broadcasting live, Jake. So I don't know what's going on.
No one's actually here live. I see the Tuna Fam, and that's about it.
But the Tuna Fam, LinkedIn might be broken. We'll check that. I'll check to see what's going on with the LinkedIn comments at one of the breaks. But why don't the two of you tell us what industries you're in from while I play with LinkedIn?
I think I'll open that up. I have spent my life in the third-party logistics industry. So anywhere freight is moved, Jake's the guy that goes, yeah, there's how we'll move that. And that's kind of where I came up in the world. So in a warehouse, moving on a forklift truck or a pallet jack, that's my story.
Awesome. I came up in the healthcare industry. I have a master's in public health and thought I was going to continue to work on big healthcare problems of the world, and then got passionate about lean and helping on the small problems each and every day in healthcare and hospital systems. And then since starting my own consulting practice 9 years ago, I work with all industries and all companies of different sizes because it's about the leadership mindset and the learning process, not about the specific industry that you're in, because all these principles can apply, especially SAPD.
Yeah, and I think
especially.
Go ahead, Felipe.
I was going to say, yeah, especially. So I found out, ladies and gentlemen, in our SAPD, apparently our streaming broadcast service did not get the memo that continuous improvement is a must. And so I can cheat and look at the LinkedIn comments on the side, but we do have quite a few people out here. Let me give a couple of shout outs. I was in the construction industry for over 20 years. And as they say, once you're in, you never can get out. You could take Felipe out of the trailer, but you can't take the construction trailer out of Felipe. And so on LinkedIn, we have
a weird way to put it.
I know. That's
I don't know if I want to count that, but it's out there, Katie. It's done. Jake, it's done. It's said. You can't wash it off. It's okay. I love it so much. We've got Mike McQuilliams here. We've got John Thacker Jr. He's on. He's going for MFABT. He's got another acronym that he's thrown down in the chat. He wants to move fast and break things. That's MFABT.
Love it.
Move fast and break things. Got Dr. M is here with no side yet, Jake, but I'm sure Dr. M.
You didn't come in on my side, Dr. M.
No, he doesn't have a side yet. And then we've got Valerie in on Team PDCA. There you go, Jake. You have two people on your side. Adam Hoot says, Jake, hair roll is right. He's on the PDCA, so that's 3. Katie, where is that? Paul.
Change is hard. Change is hard.
And now it's the whole thing is just busted on me. I got to scroll back. We've got Paul in, says he can hear us, he can see us. We don't know what team Paul's in on yet. Leonard's on Team Lean, so that could be he's Switzerland.
He's a fence, yeah.
He's in the middle.
We're learning.
Yeah, we've got David warehousing Team PDCA. Rena's just given a hi. She hasn't picked a side yet. We got to get some more music. That's how we start to get Rena sucked in. We'll get her on Katie's
side. She's a Libra.
Side.
I remember that. She's a Libra.
That's right. She is. Rafa is on Team PDCA. That's where he's leaning towards. But Katie, you can sway him. He says that.
All right.
Jeremy is on the Nala lean. He's in New Orleans, Louisiana, and he's on Team PDCA. We got Corey.
You guys stacked this whole thing. There are a lot of comments.
I've stacked it. I spent the whole last week
earlier today on LinkedIn.
Right now and just be PDCA all the way.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's the today's fans. Amar's in, and he's on Team Lean. We've got Rustlin in saying hello. Matt's in St. Louis and hasn't picked a team yet. Rob is personally not worried what team to be on yet, as long as people are doing it. So there you go.
That's fair.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Dr. M says he needs to hear a little bit more before he has his picks his side. That's awesome. And we've got John is also in construction but hasn't picked a side yet. We've got Ranch Seat and all the way from London.
That's a late night.
Yeah.
Early morning.
London on. We've got Ben in from St. Louis, Andy in from Bend, Oregon. So in our time zone, Katie, But unfortunately, Katie, he's on Team PDCA.
Woo!
All right.
This is gonna
We've
be
got,
good.
I'm for change and learning, not for
Officer
being
Paul.
stuck in the past.
Yeah. We've got Officer Paul here, an honest to goodness police officer from San Antonio is in here. So we'll see what side he takes. We've got John in. He's all the way from Tokyo.
Nice.
Kurumi. Yes. And we've got Rena calling out Mark Graben, calling him out. Call him out, Rena, but I don't see him on the taking a side yet. And Jack says Team Katie all the way. We've got Elodia from Australia representing the food and beverage industry. No side yet. And Bob's undecided. He's ready to be swayed, Katie. You can take Bob at S&C Electric. Misael is on Team Lean, so he can be swayed too. I know Misael. He can be swayed. And Achitla is on Team Lean. So we got a couple of people on Team Lean. Oh, I'm sorry. Rancid is near Ontario, not London. So that's near Toronto, excuse me.
That's a lot earlier of an afternoon for them.
London, Ontario. And then we've got Corey. He needs to learn more, Katie, but he is all up on it.
All right.
Okay, so I think we've got Roberto in from Corpus, Mexico as well, without a team. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for letting us know where you're at so far. Let's go back to the stream here, and we need to get from the good people, and I've got to get on the right stream here. Good people of the stream. We need some debate rules. Katie, Jake, are we okay with a 5-minute opener, or do you guys need more or less time?
I'm good with the 5 minutes. That's all I need to
Great. I haven't
tink, 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 nail those coffins.
Sure, great.
Yes, we'll get the time just to start putting the pressure. Katie, what else do you need for the rules?
Oh, what else? Well, always be kind and respectful. I know that's gonna be hard for Jake, but
hard for me. Have I disrespected you somewhere?
no.
Okay.
Just for starting out ahead, I guess, is disrespectful in itself.
There we go. And then we also, Jake, would you like to add an additional rule?
No whammies.
Be hard and disrespectful to people.
Whammies. How do you spell whammies, Katie?
WHAMMIES.
WH. Yeah.
Whammy. Whammy.
Okay, we'll get the H on there.
I date myself by saying that, but that's all right.
Got the no whammies. Do we need any other?
You know the no whammies, Jake.
I don't know what it means. It just whenever Tetris, you clear 4 lines at the same time. Used to say that as a kid. Whammy.
Then at the sound of the bell, that's when we'll get into it. But any other rules we need from just those 3? Okay, so we've got our 3 rules while they think about it. We'll let them here. I'll let you guys think for a second.
At point counterpoint, after we've both given our points, we want the Felipe special.
You want the which is okay. You'll get the Felipe special after counterpoints. After each counter.
I can tell you guys have done like official debating counterpoints. I'm like, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm playing it from behind.
Just still that rule. Then we've got so
that
now
is a red herring, Katie. That is neither here nor there.
I know, it's okay. I'm cool. Stand on the side.
Pull every fallacy out of the book. That's special pleading. Stop it.
There'll be no breaks here in this session. So
no breaks.
No breaks.
I've got from the chat. Whammies has 2 M's.
Yeah.
So let me get that corrected here.
Yeah,
thank you.
No whammies. No whammies.
Thank you. Thank you, people listening in. I appreciate you correcting me. It's better than Grammarly. And then we'll talk about staying connected. We will do a unofficial results and tally at the end. So people are working. They're working. Let me set this up. We got people working at work, minding their own business. Time is ticking down, knowing that that's the only resource we can't make more of. We're going to open up the debate. Who's going to open this up? And then as you guys are talking, I'll zoom in on you. Katie, why don't you go ahead and make your first announcement here on what you're offering to listeners, viewers today?
Sure. I'm super excited that later this week, and you're getting a preview. Notice I'm opening up enrollment for my third cohort of the Leading to Learn Accelerator, diving into all the concepts that we're going to be exploring today in even greater detail about how you can really become a more effective leader and coach in your organization. And it's been a pleasure to have almost 100 people take part in my Leading to Learn Accelerator last year. And I'm thrilled to offer you a special preview discount if you register by Friday. So go scan that code and take a look at it, and know that in 3 months, you're going to come out with having accelerated your capabilities and your confidence in your leadership, and be part of an awesome community together with me and Mr. Yoshino as well. And it's a bit self-paced learning, so don't worry, you don't have to commit to too much time live, but you do still get you get bi-weekly sessions in a community of discussion with me and so many more. So invest in your learning and come join Team Katie and join my chain of learning. So, and take advantage of that. Boop.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this on the replay, I have a link to Katie's Learning Academy in the felipe.bio.link. So if you just click on my contact information, you can always get into all of the courses that Katie is offering right now, even into the future. So take advantage of that. And then Jake, where can people find Chasing Excellence, Jake?
Well, first off, you find me on LinkedIn 24/7. You send an email at 3 a.m. You send a LinkedIn DM, you comment on a post, I'm in there. I am in the DMs. I am in the LinkedIn all the time, more than there is available time. And then, of course, if you click on the profile, it'll tell you all about where to find the book. So regardless of whether or not you're interested in the book, my job is to try and get you interested in me as being the number one lean guy on LinkedIn, period, full stop. So if you're trying to compete in that space, bring it on, because we go into war.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the awesome introductions. And I just wanted to show everybody for the record that is for as much trash talking as Jake has done about William Edwards Deming, let the record show that Deming is on his side here with Team PDCA. Just visually, Katie.
Yeah, the Institute just runs the same color as the front of the book.
Side, but we'll talk about that. Deming,
whoa. One at a time. As the referee, we're going to get started. The bell goes again, but you're only going to be able to speak one at a time because we can't hear both of you simultaneously. It totally messes up.
Respectful.
Yeah. So, and we've got as you guys make your points, I'll be marking who gets the points as we travel down our debate road. Let's go ahead and open it up. We tossed the coin, and according to the coin flip, Katie gets to open it up first. Katie, what visuals would you like to use? Because this debate's about to get started.
What visuals would I like to use?
Yeah, do you want me to zoom in here, or you want me to just?
No, you don't need to zoom in on the PDCA cycle. We can just talk. I think we're let's go for it. So I always like to say that reflection is the beginning and not the end of learning. And if we truly took the time to reflect and to learn, we wouldn't be having this debate here today. But this is one of the biggest challenges for all of us, and particularly in our organizations, and how we have been applying the continuous learning cycles in our organizations. So it's great to have a plan and to do, but if we don't first really spend that time to understand what's the problem we're actually trying to solve, what changes are really needed, what's our current condition, we're just throwing darts and get stuck in this plan, do cycle. I have spent 7 years in deep conversation and learning with Mr. Isao Yoshino, who was at Toyota from the mid-1960s when he learned from those who learned directly from Dr. Deming in the original PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. And even he has evolved in his thinking to understand that maybe we need to be thinking not just about check, act, but really about study, adjust. And he has become on my side too, that he has observed in working with other organizations, as I have over the last 20 years, that we often just jump to solutions and we start making our plans without really doing that studying. And as he likes to say, the only secret to Toyota, which is really the origins of lean, so those of you on Team Lean, is its attitude towards learning. And when we forget the learning, which is really the component of the intention behind the check and the study part, we are not really doing the cycle. So I see a few problems with the traditional PDCA cycle as it's often practiced. Now, again, it's a continuous cycle, so it shouldn't really matter what the acronym is. But when we hear plan, do first, we think we should start with planning. And if we really were doing learning as well in that and understanding and not just doing plan, do, it again wouldn't matter. Also, checking often has a challenge in it in that we think of it as like checking the box, literally. Did I check it? Did I do it or not? Or I'm checking on you. And then it can seem in a punitive way. This is not the intention behind the PDCA cycle as taught. However, it is how it's actually practiced. So if people are really applying the principles behind the PDCA cycle, again, this wouldn't matter as much. Even Dr. Deming in the 1990s moved over from thinking about it as check to really study. And he advocated for the PDSA, plan, do, study, adjust cycle, rather than PDCA, which he taught in the 1950s and 60s to Toyota, which is why Toyota still practices, and most people in Japan, PDCA, because they did not evolve along with his continuous improvement thinking around the cycle as well. The reason I'm advocating for actually switching the acronym is not because PDSA in itself is wrong. It's because it's a countermeasure to our current habit of just starting with plan and do and not getting any further. If we can start with learning, with studying, and remind ourselves that that's a critical, important step in the process, that it was inherent in the original design of the PDCA cycle, planning should include studying, but it doesn't the way we practice it. So we need to remind ourselves to start with studying, with learning, determine what's actually happening, what problems we need to solve, determine what adjustments we need to make, and then make our plans about how we're going to close that gap, do it, and then continue that cycle. Again, we have to start the acronym somewhere. It's a continuous learning cycle. Again, it can be the chicken or the egg. As long as you're learning and reflecting and making adjustments and doing that on a micro scale so that you can solve problems, small problems every day, learn and make bigger and greater improvements, it shouldn't matter what we call the acronym. However, because we tend to get stuck in tools and tend to get stuck on the first few steps, we need to shift from plan, do. We need to shift from just checking. We need to focus on learning first and make that our emphasis. So I'm advocating for SAPD, study.
There you go. The sound of that bell.
Good fun.
Almost perfect timing.
Hand it over to you.
Very well done.
Team learning.
So Katie's just rebranding right now on the fly. Team learning, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna put I'm gonna put 5 gigantic minutes up on the clock for Jake as well. Jake, you tend to be a sleeper. You never take the full 5 minutes. So I want you to take your time, Jake.
Oh, you're going to get the full 5 minutes. I do want it on the screen, though, because that's how I mentally align myself.
I want to put it on the screen so that you can see it.
Okay, I didn't even have the timer on the screen.
Yep,
I was just going. I was
pulled you right out of it.
I was like right there on the right
and
time.
Then you can zoom into that PDSA cycle as I destroy this.
Okay. Tell me, this is where you want me zoomed. This is where you want me zoomed in?
That is exactly where I'll be zoomed in.
Okay. And then let's get the bell ready. Okay, here we go. 5 minutes. Go ahead, Jake.
I just want to start with the team by telling you, yes, Deming as well adjusted the PDCA to PDSA with concerns over check, act versus study, adjust, exactly as Katie pointed out there. That's just true. It's a factual thing he did within the scope of his life. And we could talk forever about which word means better or why, which is something people in our CI community just love doing. We love to go, it's Gimba, not Gimba, and like sit there and fight each other for 3 hours. But that's not actually what I'm advocating for. My advocation here is for the simplest way to get through your known knowns, actually do something and learn about your unknown unknowns. So plan do is a really excellent reflection of that. I have my plan, what I envision a plan. What I'm really saying is, what are my known variables? What are my unknown variables? Do it. And the second you do, you learn all the stuff you didn't know, like immediately. And that's when you do your study adjustment, your check act, however. Now, people will also see me earlier on LinkedIn in the past few months, absolutely destroying PDSA over PDCA. But that's just solely based around my love for attacking how our community gets stuck on words over theories and applications. And Katie actually did a really good job of sharing like the exact same philosophy I take within the PDCA cycle, right? Even though she picked some different words, and we're going to have to debate point counterpoint on what we think plan versus study are for sure as we fight each other. But PDCA is a fundamental, well-known cycle that works, matches the scientific method, allows us to take action. Now, going a little inside here, going a little, what's the word, anecdotal, my personal life. Everybody I see, I meet in my life, and I mean everybody, not some of you, not most of you, every person I meet in my life is stuck behind their own like preconceptions of what the world thinks about them or what they can add to the world. And they're stuck in what they call, I would refer to as a study mode, where they're like, well, what is the world going to do if I put this course out, or if I don't put this course out, or if I make it and people don't like it very much? And they're stuck over studying and not actually doing anything. And they try to think of their life as, well, I'm just being well prepared. And they well prepare their whole life away. So my advocation, much to the credit of John Thacker, put the move fast and break things in the comments, is do whatever it takes to construct a viable plan in as short of time as possible and actually do it. Everything you'll break, everything you'll learn, the laws you break before the FBI comes and arrests you will be enlightening to the things you will study and adjust later on and how you're going to be successful. There are no rules, ladies and gentlemen. I can call it DBDBDBDBD, and it could be the Elmer Fudd methodology. What matters is you make a plan and you actually freaking do it. So the PDCA cycle means so much to me because do is the second one. I would put 4 Ds on there and just do. Hungry Like the Wolf by Duran Duran. But instead of that, we have to go through an adjustment. We do have to actually have reflection, and I am all for reflection. Some of the biggest things in life come from reflecting on your own behavior and the behavior of others, how you're perceived out in the world. And I absolutely agree. Unfortunately, how you learn about most of those skills is usually by doing them. It's usually by doing them. When someone says, hey, you should sit at home and reflect, when somebody who doesn't have any practice or knowledge or training or mentorship is like, all right, it's a nice mirror you got there. Good reflection. No, you have to actually train somebody, which means guess what? You need to make a plan and you need to do it. Do it. I love LinkedIn Live before I kiss my microphone. Do it. Just do. In study and adjust, check, act, adjust. Whip around your acronyms. I agree with Katie. We can flip them around however we darn well please. We're going to have to get into an exciting back and forth about how we think of study versus planning, because I think in our description, we kind of agree so much more than we disagree within plan to study, but PDCA all day, baby, I concede my time.
All right.
No, he never takes the full 5 minutes. He's always like, he's going to come in. He's got 30 more seconds. So I just want to give some applause to both sides so far. Thank you. Yeah, the comments on LinkedIn are just blowing up. No. I can't even keep up with all the comments, so that's good. You got. I don't know if it was Jake getting too close to his microphone or the.
Message me your team PDCA, baby, and I'll send you a copy of the book.
Oh.
Just do it. Just reach out and pull in the dirty card.
There you go. He's already starting. He's starting on the dirty stuff. Let's.
Is that a whammy? Is that a whammy? Is that points again?
That'd be a whammy, but it's all right. I'm offering everyone an opportunity to program it.
That could be a whammy. I just want to show one more time, as close as possible. Let me put Jake down here with Deming, because look at that. Jake is on Team Deming, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. You saw it here on LinkedIn Live. Jake Harrell is on Team Deming. So we've got the opening comments in. We did the no whammies. I'm going to come back in. We've got quite a few people in the mural with us, and I get to have a special little time after each of you go. So while the two of you regroup, I'm going to come down here and just think about on the opening, who did that go to? Now, if I just pander to the audience at the beginning, based on what the audience said, it went Team PDCA first. So right out the gate, as we started the journey, Jake is on the board, Katie, with getting the first thing. Now, the two of you, I'm going to just pull back 1 second and come back into the House of Deming. And I just love that Katie said that Deming continued to evolve and Deming continued to work, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that don't know and haven't studied Deming like some of us have, Katie and I, he worked into his 90s.
Really?
I aspire. I'm halfway there.
Did you just jam a knife in me as the referee?
I was accused earlier on LinkedIn today of being the most biased referee that this live stream has ever seen. So there's the first one. The only thing I want to add to what the two of you said before we turn it back over to the comments and see where you guys land is that depending on where you are, there's been even some further work that's done by Dave Snowden. He's a Welshman. That's England, for those of you that don't know where that is.
Not England. It's not England. UK.
The UK.
Did you just say Welsh?
I did. Katie, thank you for correcting me. Katie's
I've lived in the UK.
She knows. It's not England. It's in the UK. In the United Kingdom, there's an area where people speak Welsh. People like Dave Snowden. And Dave came up with this concept for chaos complexity theory called Cynefin. And it's spelled CNEYNEFIN.
I don't think the spelling's important to the audience, sir.
Well, it's one of the things that you'll learn when things are very unclear. One of the first things you should do is to take action. So even if you're going to be in the cycle, plan, do, study, act, or study, act,
adjust,
plan, do, or adjust, when uncertainty is high, it's best to take action so you can get rapid feedback and then make an adjustment. So that's all I wanted to say. But the first points went out to Mr. Harrell. Now we're going to go into the comments here. Let me pull back off of this feed so I can see what the good people, what are the people of LinkedIn telling us right now? They are saying, we've got Elodie in with a combination. We want to hear from you, ladies and gentlemen, on LinkedIn. We got some Team Katie all the way. Oh, looks like John Thacker is coming over to Katie's side.
Ooh,
John
Thacker Jr. says, Katie, I love your work with blushing face. And Jack is saying, Team Katie all the way. We've got some applause going up right now. Bob Dempsey is still undecided so far. And so we've got some more people got some combination.
All right.
Mr. Adam Hoots is the last one in on LinkedIn saying, not all people learn through studying, Jake. A lot of people learn best by doing, especially those in the construction industry.
I agree 100%.
So,
100,000%.
All right. Well, let's get back to our counterpoints because I think.
All right. I would like to make a point, and you can counter it. What do you envision is the difference between study and planning?
So for me, studying is that going even deeper to understanding what is really deeply happening and our assumptions behind that. Planning often is already taking an adjustment or a decision that we've made of something we want to do and bring forward and creating the plan to enact that so that we can then do it. The study phase is really understanding the background, the current condition, the context, what's the gap in what we are trying to close. I actually have these cards on my table. The target, what's actually happening, the gap, what's the real problem that we need to solve, and really doing that studying about it. Once we have that and we know the adjustment we need to make, then we can create our plans. What are the steps we're going to do? What are the countermeasures, the experiments we're going to run? And let's do them in a tight learning cycle. To me, that's the difference between studying and planning. Obviously, there's a learning, there's always learning and happens in all of those steps as well, hopefully.
So if you study, what are you adjusting if you haven't done anything yet?
Well, you have to determine that. So if you haven't done anything yet, it's no understanding the current condition. And there's always a target condition of some sort. It's either a goal we haven't achieved or a performance we're not sure at. So then we need to do we need to create a standard? Okay, now we have a gap between a standard we know we need to create and where we are today. All right, now let's pick our plan to how we're going to do that. So that's how I would say the difference is there.
So what do you say to when I envision PDCA, the P for me is identify the target condition, where we are now and how we get from here to there, and the D's do it. What do you say is missing from that?
Well,
that
so
statement I just
if
gave.
people actually did that, because that's the real principle of it all. So the fundamental principles, if people actually followed that and were as enlightened as you are, Jake, about the essence of the PDCA cycle, this would be a moot point. However, most people are stuck in our traditional model of what planning is that we have an idea that we want to bring into action. We don't spend the time really understanding what the real problem is we're trying to solve. We're just going to go implement something or do something, and we need to make the steps to make that happen. So my argument is that it's a countermeasure to the broader condition for most of people that planning does not equate to studying as well.
So to summarize your key point, and you can call me out if I'm putting words in your mouth, is that the definition of planning and sufficient planning is often what's completely missing from a
Correct.
PDCA cycle.
Correct. Yes.
Well, I don't think I could fight that very much, because any place who's failing in anything they're doing, pretty much anywhere in life, could attribute that to an insufficient planning, right? Because if you could plan sufficiently, you wouldn't be failing at it, right?
Yeah.
At some point. So I think we agree more than we don't agree. Felipe, what are your thoughts?
I want to get a good clean fight out of the two of you, and I can't have you already coming to the center so quickly.
And we wrapped that up.
This is where I'm gonna have to jazz it up with a little bit of music, and let's take it back a second here. So both of you are saying that planning is the key part, and it can be causing problems for the two of you. And I agree. Let me pull a visual up.
Ooh.
So you got these people working here, and both of you are saying that we've got to do the planning, and both of you agree that planning is often not done. Well, yeah, but is that really the problem? Is it? Aren't these people just trying to love what they do? Do they have to plan so much? Jake, I'm going to turn the questions back on you as this little person here thinks about all of that love. And tell me about your experience with planning or people failing to plan in continuous improvement before we come back to Katie gets her chance to ask you some clarifying questions.
Absolutely. So I would say there is not really an issue with planning. I like that. Let me take the hard stance on the opposite in there. I don't think that's a fundamental error. I think it's incredibly easy to look at any system that is not producing the results you want and say it's because of planning, and have this false attribution because it's the easiest of the attributions. I could literally like punch my camera and turn it off, and some people could go back and watch this recording and go, well, he didn't plan for that. And obviously that had nothing to do with why I actually failed. It wasn't a portion of the root cause. But reality is often emergent in nature. And this is something we don't talk about enough in the community, and that a lot of times as new things emerge, as they naturally do and evolve and adjust in this world, us coming to terms with them has very little to do with planning. Like most of the time, life is happening to us, not the other way around. We just get to choose how we adjust. So planning is a fundamental part of doing everything right. But what we get wrong is trying to put that ahead of doing and adjusting and starting the whole cycle over and over and over again as swiftly as possible until we break something.
Wow.
And learn from it.
Unexpected. Yeah, thank you. I think Katie agrees with you. Katie, you get to ask Jake a clarifying question before we go back into seeing what the comments are, if anyone is swayed yet. Ladies and gentlemen, before Katie starts to go, I want to hear, are you swayed, or are you still SAPD or PDCA?
Look at this blue. You're definitely swayed. Definitely.
Go ahead, Katie.
Stripes today. So Jake, in a lot of your arguments, you seem to be focusing on that plan and do is so critical. I agree. This is a continuous cycle. If we get stuck just in like study, adjust, that's terrible as well. So how do you think about, are you advocating for just planning and doing, or are you advocating for the continuousness of the whole cycle?
Well, that's an excellent question, because I do think, to your earlier point about fundamental understanding, if people were as woke and like 400 IQ reflecting on this stuff in the fourth dimension, you could say plan could encompass checking and adjusting, right? A sufficient plan would say, what's the last thing I did, and check and adjust for it. So like if you were going to fight like the language of it, yes, I could say plan, do, plan, do, plan, do, plan, do, plan, do, and be happy. But you're right in that the countermeasure is a language gap in which if you just say plan, do, people think a plan is I wake up in the morning and go, all right, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get on this debate today and I'm going to win. I believe in myself. And that's what they think a plan is, instead of a formal structured rubric to actually how things get done in the reality of the world that they live in. So I agree that all four are necessary, but in a sufficiently advanced world with alien beings that aren't biased and human-centric, we could definitely get to a plan do theoretically.
Any follow-on on that, Katie?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think the whole argument and the basis of this dialogue and debate here today is that we are not in an evolved state and able to just say that plan and do is sufficient, that we're looking at the full cycle, that it's a cycle of continuous improvement, which is continuously evolving and improving as well. So a framework or a tool is only as effective as people are using it. And right now, people are not effectively using PDCA because they are planning and doing. And if they get to check adjust, it's very cursory. So if we can remind ourselves that this continuous cycle needs to also emphasize our weakness, which is the reflection, is the studying and the adjusting, then we can build our muscle for that. And then if our muscle's built to effectively do all aspects of the continuous cycle, then it doesn't matter where we start or the acronym, because we're doing it all. But our muscles are weak, and our muscles of studying and adjusting are the weakest. And so we need to over practice that and remind ourselves that we need to go deeper into studying and learning. And that's the source of the secret sauce of Toyota that we're all trying to emulate if we're practicing lean, but we're missing when we're stuck in plan do.
Whoa, before you chime in there, Jake, based on the comments, we've had a couple of people swayed, including our very good friend, Mr. Jesse Hernandez. Wow. And we've now got sufficient team SAPD, and this round goes to Katie. But don't worry, Jake, you get your chance. There's still plenty of runway. As you can see, there's plenty of roadway left to see where you go. Can you land back? It's tied up right now 1-1. Jake, you were going to say something before I interrupted you.
I was definitely going to say something. So in your assessment, your final sentence was our weakest muscles around study and adjusting. Mm-hmm. What's data, anecdotal or real, in your experience has led you to draw that conclusion?
So much experience as well. When I go into organizations, and this is back when I was working in organizations or now consulting with them, they realize that the study and adjust or the check act part has been very cursory. And it really has been a check the box activity, or perhaps it doesn't happen or it's not happening fast enough. People are also realizing that they don't understand the problem they're really trying to solve. And so what has really happened is that they're doing a lot of planning based on preconceived assumptions or ideas of what a solution would be, but they're not framing it as an experiment. They're not trying to close the gap. And so they're missing that understanding part that should come before the planning. Therefore, the study adjust part that needs to happen before the planning, or if in a more evolved state, perhaps that would be part of the planning. And one of the things I talk about too, and I've done a recent video talking about this deeper reflection process, and this is inherent at Toyota. This is what they do. This is built into every micro PDCA, SAPD, whatever you call it, cycle, because it's continuous. This is what happens at a strategic level and happens on a daily level. They're not just looking at outcomes and actions. They're going deeper into what was the thinking process? What assumptions did we make? How do we get deeper into our assumptions? We don't do this very often in our studying, in our learning process. So if we can bring this forward even before our planning, what are our assumptions around that's driving our thinking or our ideas, that's then going to drive our actions, and that's going to lead to the outcomes we want to see? So I do not see reflection and studying happening very often. And it's the hardest thing for leaders to be focused on because it takes time, and we're running from meeting to meeting with all these fires to put out, and we don't put the time into studying because it feels easy to just leave it aside. And then we get stuck in plan do.
So what do you think for the folks in the audience that work for a broad organization? They might have a boss, might have a leader, might have a board that literally don't want to do anything. You
Oh,
put
that's a
together the
problem
best
too.
plan, you want to plan, you want to check, you want to reflect, but they don't want to do. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's a serious problem. And I certainly am not advocating for no doing. I'm advocating for the full cycle. We do not want to get stuck and study and adjust and planning either. We have to do. And I'm very aligned with you, Jake, that most of the learning happens by doing it. And did what we expect to happen actually happen? And if not, why not? And what do we need to adjust from there? So if we aren't doing, then we are totally missing out on the actual completeness of the cycle and the intention behind it. So we don't want to get stuck in this overthinking part time either. So I really advocate for also, if you're working in an organization that's stuck, how can you start breaking down things to maybe we're planning for too big down the line. We need to break it into what's one small thing we could do, what's one small thing we could test to help us learn our way forward. Maybe we don't know what the real target is that we need. Well, let's start doing and learning our way forward. If we don't do, then we aren't going to learn either. But if we don't spend the time to learn after we do, then we're really missing out on the true intention around the doing as well.
Terrible joke for the audience, but ever since I got a cell phone and catch the news from it, most of my learning happens at the do.
Oh, God, I have 2 boys and a husband. I understand.
I don't know if y'all noticed that Jake, that impartial judging that I did there, as Katie was talking about where we study and where we lack. That went to Team SAPD, Jake. So
yeah, it was very impartial. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I
appreciate you following you took the bar. You're a certified referee. I trust.
But I did give you. This little guy is holding Team PDCA for you, Jake. So that is like at least it's above the road. We're gonna go one more time, Jake. You get to open it up this time.
All right.
Go ahead.
This is super difficult. Let me open up because I've loved just about everything she's come out of her mouth. So I'm trying to attack it so I get more out of her, but I don't know how to go like, well, your hair looks funny, you know?
that breaks one of our ground rules.
Yeah. It's already starting to rise up, Jake. Be careful.
Well, Felipe takes about 5 minutes. Felipe, we're about 5 minutes in. I'm like, your nose looks dumb. And we like roast each other in the private chat while everyone else is talking to us. Just how that goes.
That's how it goes.
I appreciate that you want to improve on something that currently exists and exists well. I do concede that your description of why you want to makes valid sense from the scope of your experiences and behaviors. I also would like to, reiterate that my stance hard within PDCA stems from my anecdotal experiences and beliefs, right? Which was what we're talking about. We fail to reflect on often enough. And they've been all stuck with the natural framework. My bias is Texas, right? North America. That's where I spent my life. And that's like, people are just afraid to have to do, like, the leash is too short. Like, I'm at work to feed my kids. I'm at work to collect a paycheck. I'm not here to break those waters and move forward in my life. So people, for one reason or another, they get into this like safety of what society provides, and they decide that I am not going to act. I'm not going to take any choices that put me on the map. I mean, I reflect a lot about myself. You know who Jake Harrell is? Funniest lean guy. He's nobody. He's literally nobody. All the people out here listening in the comments, the lurkers who won't even place a comment because they don't want their comment to get featured and talk about it. You are smarter than I will ever be. You are capable of more than I will ever be. And if you got on the LinkedIn Live, you'd be better at it than I was. Now, the only difference is, like, I decided I was actually going to do. Like, instead of thinking about it and sitting at home going, I might comment, I might start a podcast, I might run a webinar. I'm out here doing it. That's what Katie's doing. That's what Felipe's doing. When you read his book, you hear all about how quickly and reasonably can we do? His backlog, I've seen his backlog, his personal one at home, where he has got his sprint of all the stuff he's going to go through in the next couple of weeks. My name's on it in like 4 places, which already makes me just absolutely fall in love.
This is true.
It's focused around the do at some point in our lives. And I think more human than within any business is we settle into this like lowest common energy where we become, I don't know enough science to say that right, where our kinetic energy becomes potential energy. And just the inertia to just actually do is all I want to leave the audience with. Actually do.
Oh, this is I gotta give this one up to Jake on this one, Katie. He came in, I mean, he hit me with the scrum, which he knows is cheating. But I
It's a total sucker punch to know what your referee's into.
absolutely no. He knows how to pander to the referee. But I'm gonna give Team SAPD an honorable mention here as we continue on our journey. Now we have some more these people here gandering up are wanting to tell us. And I just wanted to bring in Jake that we've got Armando in the house, and he said you broke it. And I can't bring up his LinkedIn comment because you broke LinkedIn, Jake, but he said, and I quote on LinkedIn comments, you can see this. He said minus 5 points for Jake, not understanding old school game show lingo.
Thank you.
So you lost. You're down 5 points. The bell is out. We've got one more point, final point before we close it up.
Meanwhile, why don't we go ahead and message if you've got questions, comments?
Yeah, we can.
Yes. Yeah, we want. Let's bring up the Q&A while these two make their final. We'll give you guys just a little bit of drum roll to encourage you both.
All right.
Closing sentences, like keep it at a paragraph or less. Katie.
Okay. Great. At the end of the day, it's about the thinking process, not about the tool or the structure. If we are truly doing the cycle of learning, of experimentation, of learning from it, adjusting, and making quick plans, and so that we're doing this in a quick cycle, the acronym doesn't matter. However, tools matter to help us learn and to give the structure for us to do things more effectively. Because we do not study and adjust very effectively. We don't deeply learn. It feels like something easy to cut out of our time in life that we just need to do and act and just get going. But we're not doing things effectively. We're working on the same problem day after day and not making progress. So we need to start with study, adjust, and of course, plan and do tight cycles. But we can't forget that we need to learn throughout the process too. So I advocate for study, adjust, plan, do to help us build the muscle of learning, of studying, and getting better at getting better. And if it's a cycle of continuous improvement, we need to also continuously improve the cycle too. So I advocate for continuously improving and using SAPD.
All right. Good
What
job.
a nice, short, concise paragraph there.
That was not short and concise. That was
both of you have a fan, so we'll just shout out to Sam, who looks amazing in a red tracksuit, by the way.
Wow.
So much love.
Oh, great.
Katie and Jake. Yeah. Okay, Jake, you got final paragraph. He's close.
I would just like to say thank you to the audience and Katie for coming in and entertaining this hour, providing their thoughtful insights on the whole group and encouraging us all to reflect and think more. As long as you're going through the cycle, that's what we live for, baby. That's why we're here.
All right. That looks like that's going to be seems like a little tie on that last.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing. Just do it all.
Definitely a tie. So I'll do the unofficial results while these two talk, but I'm just going to put back on the screen. We'll zoom in nice and tight. We'll go to Jake first. Keep in touch with Jake. You can hit this QR code if you're on live. This is where you hit pause, even on a live show. Incredible technology. You can visit Jake Harrell, Chasing Excellence on LinkedIn. That's his LinkedIn handle. And then this gentleman right here at thefelipe.bio.link, or just hit pause and hit that QR code there. Or this amazing person, Katie Anderson. Let's keep learning together. And I will be joining Katie's workshop myself. I'm in it, Katie.
Yeah.
I got the official email today, so I'm in.
Really,
more than a
really, the
workshop.
referee.
It's a 3-month
as if
learning
the bias
program.
didn't come out.
Can you believe that, people? The referee himself is going to
He
take.
was already bought. He was
The
already bought.
He was he's unbiased. He's just, knows where he can learn more.
That's easy.
That's
That's
for
easy
me.
to say when he's on your side.
Yeah, don't let the confetti interrupt your ability to hit that QR code. Remember, you can access it through thefelipe.bio.link, and don't forget to use code SAPD 100.
Yes, and that's only good through this coming Friday when I start announcing to the world the accelerator program. So end of day Pacific time, California, Friday. If you're interested in enrolling and getting 100% off, $100 off.
Woo!
No, didn't say that.
150% off. We'll pay you, people.
Now she was pandering to the audience. She will pay you to get in there. That's awesome. So, okay, well, we'll get the tally up. Let's take a look at. Let me pull that down for a second so I can do this proper tally. It's just so delicate. Let's see, what do people say?
It's delicate because my heart's in it.
Yeah, we've got some new people tuning in all the way from the East Coast. We got Mateo in from Boxy. He's tuning in here, happy to be joining in the group, but he did not take a side. And I'm just going to scroll back up. We didn't sway Bob. So Bob is still open game for the two of you to get Bob.
Pick a side. Just do, Bob.
Check your assumptions. Learn about them.
Yeah.
What's holding you back?
Yeah, what's holding them back? I'm going to zoom back on the big mural. Let's get it back up on screen. We'll get some final applause for the two of you. That's for the two of you. Did a great job. I didn't get the mural back on here, but here we go. And that's how I like it. Okay, so we can see visually that I'm not clicking the right thing. So there we go. On our little roadmap here, we were tied up in the beginning, 1-1. Then Katie came in 2 points in a row, but then Jake had the honorable mention. Then it came back. Jake made a comeback in the third round. In the fourth round, they tied. And so at the end, it's a dead draw. Ladies and gentlemen, the unofficial official results is that we have a complete tie, 2-2 in 4 rounds.
Comment your side, people. Comment your side so I can dig through this while I'm crying tonight.
And in the comments, our LinkedIn fans, all the people watching on LinkedIn, all the people watching on Twitter, thank you so much. Thank you, gamers watching on Twitch, thinking that this was a video game. It is not a video game. This was a continuous improvement debate, but thank you so much for joining. And all the people on Facebook, thank you for tuning in. It ended up in a complete tie. Ladies and gentlemen, we get the final, just us on screen, talk to each other, and say goodbye to all the good people while we play out the music here. The theme is on this music is that we can't stay here. You can't stay here. Got to get on.
Follow me and John. Follow me and John. A quality podcast.
That's right.
You want all the stuff you're afraid to say because you have a day job? Well, too bad, because the real shit's on a quality podcast.
Yeah, and I don't even have where's my Jake? It's like so many things away. Watch this, Katie. I didn't get to use it in team because he didn't give me there was no hand signal like we usually do. So we love y'all. Have a great time out there. We'll see you all on the next one.
Thank you, everyone. Whoop, 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 whoop.